Good morning, Seoul. It is such a pleasure to be here today. Thank you to the Connections Luxury team. Very excited to be with all of you for these past couple of days, and I look forward to forging more connections with you throughout today. So as Pam mentioned, my name is Jennifer Kester, and I am the Vice President and Executive Editor of Forbes Travel Guide. And so I'm just going to give you a little background on our company. So Forbes Travel Guide is the global leader for hospitality luxury. We set the benchmarks for service excellence, and we help travelers discover the finest experiences. We are the only independent global rating system that verifies luxury hotels, restaurants, spas, and ocean cruises. And every February, we come out with our Star Awards, which honor the best of the hospitality industry. In 2025, we honored more than 2,100 properties across 90 countries. We started in 1958 as Mobile Travel Guide. We were owned by Mobil Gas Company. And back then, in 1956, the American federal government passed a law that helped spur the rapid evolution of the highway system in the US. And so what happened with that is Mobile Travel Guide stepped in and created a whole guidebook based on recommendations for this golden age of car travel. So fast forward just a little bit, and Mobile Travel Guide decided to give up the travel portion of its business. And instead, what we did was we partnered with Forbes, and we decided to focus on the luxury component. And with that, we set out to define and measure what makes up an excellent luxury experience. We've done this for 67 years, but what's different now is that we are global. Every year, our team travels more than 3.8 million miles, which is the equivalent of 8 trips to the moon, which is a great factoid. And I'm going to delve into a little bit about our rating system. So our ratings are built on 3 different pillars. We have independence, expertise, and integrity. So the integrity comes in the form of our incognito inspectors. They're highly trained. They visit every property we rate, and they stay for multiple nights, and they pose as ordinary guests. For the independents, we decide which properties we rate, and we undertake that process on our own. And so no one could buy a rating. The score is what determines a rating. The inspectors never see the scores. All ratings are determined by a special algorithm. And every report goes through a very exacting review for consistency and to ensure integrity. So our incognito inspectors, when they're at properties, what they're doing is they're testing up to 900 very exacting standards across every guest-facing department. And so the classifications are basically the categories that they're looking for. They range from cleanliness and condition to graciousness, thoughtfulness, and personalized service. But if you see on the left here, service accounts for 67% of a score. And that's what differentiates us from other rating systems, because while it is, of course, important that a property is pristine and clean, really what matters when you stay at a hotel is the way it makes you feel and the way the staff makes you feel. So that's what we're looking for when we're out and seeing all of these properties. We have 3 rating categories: 5-star, virtually flawless service, and amazing facilities. The 4-star is exceptional properties with high levels of service, and recommended. These are excellent properties with consistently good service. If I were to pick the Olympics analogy for our star rating system, the 4-star would be the gold standard. That's what properties should strive to be. But the 5-star, that is like the Michael Phelps of the Olympian community. It is the best of the best. But whether you get a 5-star or you get a recommended, just like in the Olympics, it is an honor to receive an award at all. So the question is, what does it take to achieve this very high level of excellence in hospitality? So our approach to service, what we look for is we look for people who are showing genuine, warmth, personable, and natural service. We want consistently superior service. And we look for staff who are welcoming and anticipatory, but yet also allow for privacy and relaxation. And of course, the staff should tailor behaviors to fit a guest's needs and do so in a comfortable, seamless way. And for facilities, we are looking for a superior product, a clean, comfortable, and convenient setting, and elevated interior design, and of course, a sense of place. Now, what are these very high-performing properties doing differently? So here are just a few standards where 5-star hotels notably excelled. Their average scores are 20 points higher than a 4-star hotel and 59 points higher than recommended hotels. So the guest name is used naturally as a signal of recognition. Personal belongings, other than clothes and toiletries, are handled in a noteworthy manner. And the staff is thoughtful, intuitive, demonstrating anticipatory service when appropriate and helpful. So our Star Awards, they culminate with a 3-day members-only, invitation-only conference called The Summit. This not only attracts the cream of the crop when it comes to the hospitality industry, but this is a conference that joins travel and luxury. So we have the heads of major companies outside of the hospitality industry. We have ownership companies, basically big decision makers and tastemakers throughout the world come and attend. Last year, we had it in Monaco, and in 2016, we will be returning there as well. We also have some celebrity guests. We've had Neil Patrick Harris and Sharon Stone, so it's a really fun time. So one of the great things about working at Forbes Travel Guide is that all of our staff is out on the road every day, on site at hotels, taking cruises, and so we are there at the forefront when these luxury trends are emerging. So I'm going to share some with you today. Responsible tourism. Now, we prefer to use this term rather than sustainability because it encompasses so much more. It talks about well-being of guests, it talks about well-being of staff, and it also talks about well-being of the community. So this is a quote from Hervé Udre. He is our responsible hospitality ambassador, and he works with us to consult on the intersection of luxury and well-being for the people and planet. And so what he says here is, responsible tourism puts us in front of our personal and professional obligations, which each and every one of us is required to face. And basically what he's saying is, in the hospitality industry, this is no longer a choice. This is a way that we have to do business in the modern world. And business is good. So surveys show that travelers are seeking out these sustainable experiences. And affluent travelers in particular are willing to pay more to find them. But travelers are very savvy. They understand that they want something beyond just a property ditching plastic straws or putting a placard next to the bed to clean the linens. What they're looking for is something purposefully built with sustainability in mind. So one great example of that is One Hotel South Beach. This is a property in Miami, and sustainability is in its DNA. So in the back where that man seems to be floating in air, that is a green wall. The check-in desk is a driftwood reclaimed beautiful piece. The rooms have glasses and a carafe that are made from recycled wine bottles, and every floor has a water fountain so you can replenish. Health and well-being. Wellness-influenced travel is the fastest grower, one of the fastest growing trends that we have seen. And because of that, we've actually included well-being into our standards. Here are some stats just to show how much this is thriving. Wellness tourism is forecasted to reach 1.02 trillion by 2030. But hotels are taking wellness much more on a granular level. So they're examining the use of outdoor space. They are looking for diverse and mobile fitness opportunities outside of the gym. They're seeking access to quality water. And they're rethinking in-room design and trying to make dynamic functionality so that everybody can use the room in the way that they want to. Wellness also is no longer relegated to the spa. Equinox Hotel in New York City has a restorative sleep program where you can go there and have cryotherapy treatments, go and experience a spa wave table, and have morning and evening rituals that help optimize your circadian rhythms. And other properties like Rosewood Miramar Beach have implemented bright beds, which are these smart beds that allow you to tailor the temperature, the angle, and also it will send your sleep data to your phone. One of the wellness buzzwords that is prevalent right now is longevity. And when I say longevity, I don't just mean living longer, I also mean living better. So it is proactively restoring your health and your balance by personalized care, by intentional rest, and science-backed therapies. So Portrait Milano Boutique Hotel, owned by the Ferragamo family, they are the first to implement the longevity suite into its spa. And the longevity suite is a European biohacking company. Mayborn Hotels just debuted Serene in London, and that is a well-being members club that focuses on personalized journeys. And also you might get a session in that hyperbaric oxygen chamber in the middle. The hotel brand is also even opening a new Serene in the French Riviera on June 17th. And Clinique La Prairie has rolled out longevity hubs everywhere from the St. Regis Bangkok to Doha, to Dubai, to Taipei. And so what all of these places are doing, they're replacing the traditional idea of a spa and focusing on these longevity centers. Now, in this uncertain time, where there is maybe a feeling of isolation, a lot of people are turning to travel to help them find authentic experiences and human connection. And this is a quote from Daniel Langer. He is a professor who teaches about luxury at New York University and Pepperdine University. And the context for this quote is he is talking about his stay at what was supposed to be deemed the best hotel in a destination. What he says here, the real estate, spectacular. The views, priceless. But the human factor was where the property failed. The staff was friendly, but friendly is the minimum expectation in luxury. The service was not mind-blowing, and importantly, there was no story. That gives plenty of room for disruption and for launching new luxury brands that focus on the human connection, on creating emotional responses, on creating desirability through cultural capital. So for Langer, when you talk about luxury, that means you have to have a story, because a story is what will connect your guests to you, and it's what will drive guest loyalty. So one place that exemplifies this very well that is Nihi Sumba. Nihi delivers memorable, meaningful experiences. It is a small island in Indonesia. And one of the things that it does very well is it has these horse experiences. Every day, horses run freely along the beach, and then they swim with guests right there in the water. And for deeper experiences, it also provides equine therapy, so you can get up close and personal with the beautiful horses. Chris Birch, he is a co-founder of Nihi, and what he says here, that is what luxury is. It's not what's happening while it's there, it's what they leave with and their memories. So the last trend I will share with you today is a fun one called set jetting. This trend is one where people plan their travel around what they see in films and movies. And so obviously the big one that everybody knows about is the White Lotus, but this is not just a one-off. As you see here, 70% of Gen Z and millennials make travel decisions based on TV shows or movies. And so yes, the White Lotus is the best example, but there are other properties that are really leaning into this. So one of them, The Bear, if anybody knows that one, it is a show where it's set in Chicago about a talented chef who works his way from a fast food chef to a fine dining chef as well. And the Four Seasons Hotel Chicago created a bespoke tour for its guests where it led guests to the filming locations and also had a historian along for the ride to give more information about the city and the culinary history. Another great example is the hotel, the Mitsui Kyoto. It got inspiration from the epic war drama Shogun, fantastic series, and it created a package where guests would come and they would get a private tour of a Shogun castle that was right across the street from the hotel. But it also peppered in some local experiences. It introduced them to onsen bathing. It introduced them to a formal Japanese tea ceremony. So what we're learning from the set jetting trend is that Gen Z and millennials, what they're really seeking is they're seeking connection. They're seeking a connection to their favorite shows and their favorite movies through the destinations. They're seeking to connect to the destinations. So just like us, how we're here to connect with one another. Thank you so much.
So do we have any questions from the crowd? Would anyone like to ask a question?
So if a hotel is less than remarkable, how are they let it known, and do you give them a chance to improve and re-get their position?
Absolutely. So there's sort of different paths for that. Usually they're informed of what their rating is, and they always have the next year to improve. We also do offer training services, so that's something and it's not just for hotels, it can be for, we've done private residential training with concierge doctors, so anybody looking to increase our service levels, we offer that service as well. But for us, we want hotels to do well. We're here to support. A lot of people think that our inspectors, somebody said this to me while I was here, oh, they just drop their spoon as a test. And we don't do that. We're not testing these sort of irregular experiences. There is plenty in the guest experience to test. The moment you book a reservation, the moment you go to the front desk and you're greeted by the person there, the valet who helped you, the person at the elevator. So we're really rooting for properties to do well.
Thank you for that, Robin. Any more questions?
Yep, one over here.
Thank you very much for that very insightful presentation. The question is, How do you see the change in terms of generational and cultural traveler? Because obviously there's a trend moving not just merely in terms of numbers from India and China going to the West, but it's also generational. What are your thoughts on that?
Generational travel is very different. The younger generations are consuming media, and that is driving decisions as well. So where maybe some older generations are looking at media or word of mouth, a lot of younger people are looking at social media. They're looking on Instagram, they're looking on Weibo, all of these different forms of communication. So I think that's a big driver in creating these Instagrammable moments at hotels. And culture, we're seeing a major shift. I remember the beginning of my career, there was, you went to a hotel in Napa and you had California cuisine. That's what was there. But now, when I went to Auberge du Soleil, there's Chinese set menus for breakfast. So it's really, I think, welcoming all of these travelers and adapting and making them feel at home.
Any more questions to ask at the front here?
I have a question about the set jetting.
Yes.
About the White Lotus. Where did you get the report? I mean, it's a very trendy thing to do this kind of project.
Sure. We got the report, I believe American Express did a report in 2003 that talked about that. We've also written stories about it. I mean, we are in Seoul. People are coming here for K-dramas and to reenact all of that. They go to Jeju to see their beautiful destinations that are featured in films. But it's definitely something we're seeing more interest in, and people really picking up on it and finding inspiration there.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Thank you for all your concept of the luxury tour, and I'm very appreciated to hear all of your opinions. Nowadays, many things to be changed. Used to be a lot of people don't know Korea well.
Mm-hmm.
They try to be using a ChatGPT or AI algorithm. It was great to know the general information, but sometimes they believe what they research. So actually, a lot of things is not real right information. I mean, when you try to more detail, I think it's nice to get a guideline when you come to Korea. But I sometimes it's sometimes hard to be explaining it, understanding it, real essential word. Sometimes database make them really worse to do, to make a really good itinerary because people believe that what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to make a little bit a more personalized trip to make the best to not just a platform system when you try to be comparing the like Booking.com, Agoda, some other platform system to joining a sitting coach. We are not that kind of company making a commercial way. But they believed, okay, I want to go this picture. How should I go? So this picture is not updated. So I just explaining it the whole of all of the knowledge. They don't believe. So sometimes algorithm or that kind of AI try to make the sometimes make the word. Of course, it's make the convenient.
Mm-hmm.
So my question: how AI that kind of they're gonna be dominating the future influence our luxury market?
That is an excellent question. Obviously, AI is very prevalent, and it helps. It helps people. It helps hotels do some tasks. But there's one thing about hospitality that you can never replace the human connection. You can have a robot check you in, but it's not the same as somebody saying, "Good morning, Mrs. Kester. So nice to see you. Would you like your tea that you had yesterday?" A robot can't do that. What really, I think, in these times where we have AI, and there's a stat where it says we as a society are living more alone than ever before. Meaning there's people who are just singles living in their homes. So for hospitality, that means that there is a real need for connection. There's a need for expertise. Like you said, you can go on ChatGPT and say, please write up an itinerary for Seoul. But you have to fact check it to make sure those places even exist, that they're open. I think this is where expertise is important. It's important to have a travel guide that's trusted, that sends people out, that's checking them. It's important to have travel advisors who can guide you and tell you the experiences and share what they've learned from Seoul, who are here on the ground. It's important to have concierges who have amazing connections and can make a real bespoke itinerary for you that you didn't even know you needed or wanted. So while I do think AI is going to be a force that we have to reckon with, I think in the end, you can't replace the human connection. Thank you very much.